Hey guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Get Corporate Ready. And if you have clicked on this video today, you're someone that's thinking of resigning, not too sure how, when, this video is really going to take you through some of the key steps that you need to be aware of when you start thinking about resigning and how to go about doing that. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Baile, and I use this platform to really give tips and tricks to students, graduates, young professionals alike on how to get corporate ready, right? So this video in particular is for those of you that are already in the working space that are looking to resign from your current role, whatever the reason may be. I'm going to take you through 5 key steps that you need to be mindful of as you think of resigning. Now, for those of you that follow me on social media, you'll know full well that I've just gone through a resignation process, a notice period. And so I'm using the opportunity to speak to you guys about what are some of the things that you need to be thinking about. If you are in a space right now where you feel like you want to move on and you want to resign, I'm going to be sharing 5 key tips that are so important for you to be mindful of as you think of resigning. So if this is the kind of content that you are here for, make sure that you click in that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know every single time I post a video that's just going to get you more corporate ready. As you think through resignation, some of you I know may be in a very toxic environment where you just can't wait to get out, but it's important for you to pause. It's important for you to really just think through the steps that I'm going to take you through shortly so that you are doing it in a professional manner. It's so important when you leave one role for another that you do it well. And I'll explain to you why that is. So one of the things that I think is important for you to be mindful of, if you're moving from one company to another, as you finish off your interview process, they'll ask you a question around what is your notice period, right? And by notice period, it's stipulated on your contract. So as you signed to work for the company that you work for, on the contract, it says what your notice period is. And basically notice period is how many days do you need to serve to give the company an opportunity to find a replacement for you. So depending on how long you've served at the particular company, it may range from about 2 weeks to typically a month. If you're a lot more senior than that, you may find yourself serving a 2-month notice period, right? So go back to your contract as you're going through your last few stages of your interview and just check through your contract. Does the contract say that you need to serve a 30-day notice or a calendar month notice? Now, the difference between these two is that a 30-day notice means that you just need to serve 30 days at the company, irrespective of which date you decided to resign on, right? So if I resign on the 15th of this month, I need to serve my notice up until the 15th of the following month, right? So that's what a 30-day notice period means. When they say a full calendar month notice, that means you need to serve an entire month, as in from the first of a particular month until the end of a particular month, right? So back to my previous example, if today is the 15th of September and I resign today, I still need to serve a full calendar month, which means that I would still need to serve all of October, right? All of the following month. So it has to be from the first of a month to the last of a month. So if you resign in between a previous month at any given point in time, you still need to serve an entire full month, right? So check that in your contract as you're going through the last stages of your interview, and as they ask you what your notice period is, that's what you need to be mindful of. So the next thing that's important for you guys to be doing is making sure that you have a conversation with your direct manager about the fact that you want to resign. But before you have this conversation, so important for you to make sure that you've got a contract in hand. The start date on your contract needs to correlate with how much time you know you need to serve in your current company. That's the time that you need to be setting up time with your manager to have a discussion with them about the fact that you would like to resign from your role. You need to make sure that you gather the guts to have the necessary conversation with your manager. And when you have the conversation with your manager, it's important for you to be able to articulate what your reasons are for wanting to leave the company, whether it's for professional growth, whether you need a different challenge, or whether you have a company that's allowing you to maybe have a permanent role because right now you're on a fixed term role, whatever the situation is and whatever the circumstances are, make sure that as you go and have this conversation, you've thought through it. Make sure that you are doing it in a way that's not tainting the company negatively, that's not from a negative space and a negative headspace. Make sure that you prepare yourself well enough to have a very cordial conversation with your manager and explain the reasons that you'd like to resign and when you'd like to resign, okay? It gives them an opportunity to ask you a few questions as well. I think also just from an employer's perspective, important to understand what works and what doesn't work about this person's current role. What is it that people are leaving for? Is there something that we should be doing as a company to change up the role, or whatever the case may be, right? So there's a lot of intel that the company can gain from having a proper sit-down conversation with you about why it is you want to resign from your current role, right? So make sure you're having that conversation with your manager, because it's really going to be beneficial, and it kickstarts the process of resignation in a very professional manner. Now, the third thing that's important for you to be mindful of as you decide to resign is that once you've spoken to your manager, very important for you to put together a resignation letter that you can send as a formal notice of your resignation, right? So don't expect that just because you've had the conversation that's set in stone. It's important for you to formalize it. It's important for you to put it down in writing as well, and make sure that once you've written it down, you send it to your manager, right? In the next video that I'll do with you, I'll take you through some of the basic things that you need to be thinking about as you put together a resignation letter and what that looks like. But the important part here is that you need to make sure that you've put it down in writing. So make sure that you're typing it up on Word. Make sure that you also officially sign it at the bottom, where there's an electronic signature, or you print it out and you sign it. It's great for record keeping as well. The company is going to require that as well as formal notice from you that you are resigning from this role. And it's something that then keep with your file so that it is up to date. So make sure that you are writing a resignation letter as final confirmation of your intention to resign. So once you've submitted your resignation letter and it's been accepted by your boss, the next thing that's important for you to be thinking about is now your notice period actually starts. What is it that I need to do during a notice period to make sure that I have effectively used this time to hand over, to sort out my work, to delegate, to finish up some projects that need to be finished up, right? So the important thing that you need to go through during this time is really just articulating for yourself, what are the main projects that I'm on that I need to wrap up? What are some of the things that I may need to delegate to someone else, maybe because it's a long-standing project or something that needs to be continued post your time there. So you really need to look at what is it that I am busy with at this point in time that I need to finish up, and make sure, a tip from me is really just to make sure to have a conversation with your boss about those things, right? So once you've submitted your formal resignation, go back, think through the work that you were supposed to have done for that month, think through the projects that you are on, some of the things that were still to come, and you then collate in your mind, these are the key projects that I need to work on, these ones I can finish, these ones I'm going to need to hand over, this is the work that was coming up in the next month that someone needs to be able to attend to in my absence. So you're really just going through, what am I currently working on, what's important for me to hand over, and who would I suggest these things to be handed over to in the interim before they find someone for my role, right? Once you've thought through all of this, set up time with your manager and talk them through that plan, right? So firstly, ask them, what are some of the key things that are important to them that they'd like as a handover from you, right? And then you go through some of the things that you know sit in your portfolio that you need to be wrapping up, handing over. It's important for this conversation to happen, in my view, because it allows for both of you to agree on what the handover needs to look like, right? The last thing you want is for you to just go off on a tangent and just continue doing work as you would have. And then like the week before, you haven't thought through, what is the plan for the rest of the work? What does my manager need? Those things are important to know upfront so that as you plan for the rest of your month, you know exactly what you're working towards and what it is your manager actually requires of you, right? Then you use your notice period, making sure that you're putting that stuff together, that you're sorting through your work, that you're packing up your desk, you're packing up your office, but that you're delegating work that needs to be delegated to other people. But it's important that you're not making the decision on delegation. Propose who should be delegated to your manager. Let your manager either agree with you that, yes, please delegate these things to this person until we get your new replacement. That person will kind of hold down the fort until then. So hence why the discussion with your manager is very important, because there's certain decisions that you shouldn't really be making on your own. You need to make in collaboration with your actual manager. So the last thing that's important for you guys to be mindful of is making sure that you maintain good relationships with your employer, right? I can't stress this more, guys. I think, sometimes when we leave certain companies, we leave there very disgruntled. We're unhappy about this. We're unhappy about that. We just can't wait to leave. Oh my goodness, good riddance, right? And we forget that it's a professional environment that you are leaving. You forget that, another role after the next one you're going into, you're going to need a reference at some stage, right? So you'll hear of the term of don't burn bridges, right? So the bridge concept is really about you at this current employer, you're going to a new one. There's a bridge between that. Don't burn down this bridge. You never know if you need to go back to the company you were at before. You never know what you may need from the people that you've just left from. And I've realized that in my career as well, as I've left from one company to another, when they say, can we call your reference? You don't want to feel like, oh my goodness, I left on such bad terms. I left in a huff. I didn't finish half the work that I was meant to finish. I didn't see out the rest of my notice period. I resigned with immediate effect. All of those kinds of things and kinds of behaviors, that's what you're leaving at the company, right? Those are the last few memories they have of you. And if those memories are not good, you're not going to be able to go back there. And trust me, at some stage in your career, you're going to need to have someone from that company speak about you. And you don't want to know that what they're going to say about you and their last memory of you was negative, right? Even though you may have done really brilliant work while you were there, the lasting memory needs to be positive. So how you leave your role is so important. How you resign is important, but maintaining those relationships is equally as important. So guys, those are the key 5 tips that I just wanted to talk you through as you're thinking through resignation. Let me know in the comment below whether you've struggled to have a proper resignation process and what the reasons were. I'll try and address it in another video that I do thereafter. But like I said, my next video, I'll just take you through some of the key things you need to be mindful of as you put together your resignation letter. And that will really help you just formalize the entire process and know exactly what you need to be doing in your corporate career.